as we're photographing landscapes and trees and ridges and things, I also noticed this stump, but then there's this little world growing on top of the stump too, with moss and little plants. And one of the great things about the Velvet 85 is that it's also a macro length lens. I can get really close in on things and see a whole different world, and again apply the velvet effects to it. So I'm going to work with that a bit. I've got my tripod set up nice and low, nice and stable. I'm going to use the timer again, because in order to get any kind of depth down here, I've got to use a much smaller aperture. And then I'm just going to mess around, play with it, do the wide aperture, the tight aperture, and especially when I'm photographing close up, I'm also going to bracket my focus. And that just means changing the focus between pictures a little bit, just to make sure that I've got the sharp focus right where I want it. I even do this when I'm using an autofocus lens, because the things are so close together that it's difficult to discern exactly which thing is in focus until you get it on your computer screen and see that the part that you really loved is just a little soft. So in order to mitigate that problem, I'm just gonna adjust the focus a little bit and take another picture. Film is cheap on a digital camera, and so there's no problem there. So I'm gonna get to it and make a few different pictures, and then I might even change lenses in a minute and try a different effect. Especially at the wider apertures where I can't clearly see the focus because of the glow effect, I'm definitely going to bracket the focus when I'm shooting wide open with the velvet effect turned on. I'm using a mirrorless camera right now, and mirrorless cameras have a terrific effect called focus peaking, and it actually puts a little colored outline on my screen over anything that's in sharp focus. And so that's a really cool tool to help me get sharp focus. If I'm using a DSLR, I'm going to use live view and zoom in close and make sure that I've got things crystal clear as much as possible, and then I'm still going to give a little bracket of focus. Give it a slight twist closer and a slight twist farther in order to make sure that I've got my bases covered. It's the worst feeling in the world to spend all this time making a pretty cool picture and then get back on the computer and find out that it's just not in focus on the subject that you wanted to be crystal clear. The hardest part about macro photography is just getting things set up. So as long as I'm set up, I might as well try a different lens. I've got here the brand new Sweet 80 optic inside the Composer Pro 2. And this allows me to have a different effect from the Velvet. This is a really fun tool. It's got a macro extension built into it. Just by extending the lens like this, lets us focus much closer than otherwise. But it's about 22 inches away, and my camera is only about 12 inches away from my subject right now. So I'm going to also add a 46 millimeter macro filter. It's just basically a magnifying glass that screws onto the front of the filter, but it's got good glass in it, and it helps me focus much closer to any subject. It's a really fun tool and an inexpensive way to upgrade any lens.